Okay, we're just going to roll right into the next panel, which is going to be all about sync licensing and music supervision. So to begin with, I'm going to welcome to the stage the moderator for that panel, Lauren Kubala. Lauren is a freelance production assistant, having worked with South by Southwest, ACL Fest, Marilyn Manson, and Kanye, and offers production coordination, representation, music clearance and licensing, publishing administration through her company, Synced Up Sounds. Welcome to the stage, Lauren. Come on up. Next up, we've got my good friend Ted Lowe right back there. Ted is the president of Choice Tracks, a publishing company and indie label. Ted has secured countless licenses for his roster of independent artists and composers. He has co-founded Position Music's production music series, which now boasts over 10,000 tracks and has supplied music to America's Got Talent and American Idol and many other things. Ted has been so generous over the years to do a lot of these panels for the community, so we're glad to start resurrecting these types of educational events. And just so grateful to have you here, Ted. Come on down. And let's see here. We've got Mr. Jason Rudd. Jason is an award-winning executive producer with 25 years of experience at Level 77 Music, a boutique sync music catalog and production library, and is the founder of Sync ATX, who partners with us every month for our night shift events. So you'll see Jason here in just a few weeks for our night shift event again. Oh yeah. I should know this. I'm a musician too. I always do that. Thank you, Jason. Come on up to the stage. And let's give a big round of applause for T-Double, Tyranny Johnson. Oh, yeah, right there. There he is. Tyranny is a Grammy-nominated artist, producer, Grammy Board advisory member, founder of Sync Happens, KGMG marketing agency, T-Topia Studios, I think keeps rolling back on me here, and the Urban Artists Alliance. Tyranny has had placements on Breaking Bad and other high-profile placements that make the kid from Keeling one of Austin's most successful hip-hop artists. And on a personal level, I'm a liver transplant recipient. Terry got his kidney a couple of years ago, so we're transplant warriors together. Love this man. Love this man so much. And finally, on the panel today is Brian Kelly, composer and co-founder of sync company Control Freaks, with placements on Dawson's Creek, Party of Five, MasterCard, JanSport, Netflix, Little Caesars, and many more. Welcome to the stage, Brian. And I am going to hand it over to the capable hands of Lauren Kubala, and we'll get going. Thank you, Lauren.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today, and thanks for being here. We're really excited to get into sync, music supervision, and the many ways that artists and composers can go about getting involved. We have a great group up here today, all with experience in music, either music licensing or song storytelling through song. I'm your moderator, Lauren, as he's introduced. And I guess we'll go ahead and get started since he's already did a brief of you guys, unless you guys want to do a brief introduction of yourself?
Nope.
No. All right. Okay. Well, we'll just start off the questions then. We'll start with sync. So what is sync placement, sync licensing, and why does it matter for artists today?
Just want to go in order on this? Sure. I'll summarize it really easily. There are more videos being made than any of us can count. They're being uploaded to YouTube, they're on streaming channels, they're on everywhere on the internet. All of them suck without music. So what we do is various ways we provide music that helps those productions.
Yeah, and I would also add that music is the other actors in the scene. It's just as vital as the dialogue and the actors that you're watching perform. Music helps that story move along and help that moment happen to become more memorable as well. Ted.
Yeah, I mean, it's really just the synchronization of music to picture. Yeah, there are more outlets today than there were. Maybe not as many TV shows as before the writer's strike and the actor's strike, but TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and all the streamers and networks.
How has sync changed for short form content? I mean, you've been in it for a hot second and then like done various different roles, from working with major labels to owning your own publishing company. So how have you seen that evolve?
You know, the humbling thing about this, and I've been in it for 25 years, and I know you're going to say the same thing, it has not gotten any easier. I don't necessarily think fees have gone up in 25 years. But if you have the right music, it is a nice way to make a living, or at least help supplement your career so that you can go on the road or get back in the studio. Yeah.
Well, it's a good motivation to get you into the studio as well, to write music for film and TV.
Yes. What do sync deals normally go for? So if we're looking at film, television, ads, what's a sync range?
It's all over the place. I mean, you know, at YouTube, we will allow someone to license music, maybe for as little as $20, or we share ad revenue. They create a video on YouTube, and we share the ad revenue. And that way, if that video goes viral, the artist and writer get to participate in the royalties. There is no one fee. I mean, I could see as little as $500 or $1,000 for some cable show that I've never heard of, or $6 to $16 grand for huge network shows, a huge end title or montage placement, let's say at the end of a show. But most of it, the money ain't great.
I would
Clout.
agree with him on that as well. You know, I came from the background of, I worked for Universal Music Publishing for 22 years, and I ran a report in 2020 before I left there, and of all of the single-use licenses that we got. And the top of the report was like a $7,000 license for a movie trailer. Then there was a $5,000 license for a national advertisement. But of the 3,000 something licenses, the average fee was $200.
Was this for the production music side?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Okay.
it's production music.
Yeah, and then, let's talk about that. Tell them what production music is and how it is different.
That's a great, and it's an important thing to highlight. Y'all understand, like there is commercial music, which is the music that we all love and enjoy, but then there is also production music, which is created specifically for use in shows and advertisements and documentaries and so forth. Production music is sold business to business, not business to consumer, which is why it's generally stuff you don't hear. It's not on your iTunes library or your Spotify library. Yes, it's sold business to business, and annually it accounts for about 45% of the music that we all consume. So it is something we are all consuming in the end, but it's through the television shows
You just don't know it.
Yeah, you wouldn't know. Whoever, you watch that commercial and there's like a pizzicato string thing playing while mom has problems with the kids, and then whatever product or service it is solves that, you wouldn't know who that composer was. It's not something you would dial up on Spotify.
It's the stuff you would hear on Fox Sports, the stuff you would hear behind a bunch of reality television.
The random music.
Yeah, and I think it's because they can't afford a composer, and these shows need 240 cues for a 44-minute episode, but this man lives and breathes the world still.
I do. I live in that world, the world of anonymity, where I create music for multiple shows, ads, promos, trailers. I've made a living at it for 20 plus years. Primarily royalty-based, internationally especially. I mean, I've had thousands of placements. My statements are 200 plus pages, long for every quarter. And you would never even know my name, but I mean, I've written music for Formula One's Netflix Drive to Survive. I've done commercials. I've done like Hyundai, the FedEx Cup. I mean, you name it. And what's kind of fun about production library music for me is that I don't live in just one stylistic world. I get to live in all the stylistic worlds. So for me, as a musician who really likes to spread his wings, I could be doing kind of a bluesy tension Americana one day, and I could be, working on an orchestral piece the next day.
Yeah, I will say that fees for artist material are generally much higher than production music.
Yes.
And we work specifically with artists. So, I've seen worldwide campaigns for comfortably into the $100,000 figure for an artist. I've seen movie trailers comfortably in the $100,000 range for artists. And, a lot of what you make, not always, but it's based on what sort of following do you have. Because these advertisers, they want to pimp your fan base. They want you to promote their product beyond just your song. So the more followers you have, the more we can make you. Especially on the advertising side. Television, does it fit? Does it work? We have a deadline. We got to get this done by Friday. So the fees are better on the artist side, but it's about you. Having that following, having a story where we can demand more money.
Yeah. And also to that is to record all the time. Always create. Like we were talking earlier, catalog matters. Because if you approach somebody for a sync or an offer and you only have an EP, then almost every song needs to be fire. It needs to be a banger. And the odds of that is very slim. So if you have a catalog, you can keep presenting music, different styles of music. Like most people know me as a hip-hop artist, but I've done singer-songwriter stuff, I've done jazz stuff, I've done stuff specifically designed for a commercial or a TV show, or they've reached out to me from something from my catalog, which I own 100% of. So if they reach out to me and say, we like this particular song, but take the vocal out, I can do that and send that back to them without wasting any time. And usually the fastest one gets the goal, if you're quick like that. So record all the time. Make sure you own it. Make sure you have proper agreements with people who you record it with, because friendships turn to not friendships when the money starts coming in and everybody decides they really helped write that song and make that hook and they found that drum sound. So get all that down too. And I'm speaking more from, up here, like an actual musician part who's still performing, still putting out records. And I have a catalog that I can continue shopping. I've placed songs that I recorded when I was 14 years old. I'm still placing music then because I have 40 albums, so I have enough stuff to get by. So catalog matters.
He's right. I can't tell you how many times we'll deliver a new EP on an artist. And I say EP because music supervisor's attention span is like that short. And then they're on to the next thing. So I don't want to wait a year to record an album with a band. It's like, let's just get 4 songs. We'll send it out, and then they'll say, this is great. What else you got? It's like, we just finished this one. And while this is in my head, I'm just going to say it really quickly. When you record your album, record a version, run a pass of a mix without the vocals. We need stems. Does everyone know what stems are? Yes? Does anyone not know? Okay, great. You need to have stems available of all of your songs if you want to pursue this lane. everybody wants to be in sync. They hear that it makes them great money, but the truth of the matter is there are certain boxes that need to be checked in your performance, in your lyric, in your song structure. There needs to be breaths. It took me 10 years to learn this one lesson where an editor for a movie trailer or a commercial, he'll throw up your WAV file on the screen. If he doesn't see a place where he can make a cut, he doesn't even listen.
Next.
Yeah, doesn't matter if it's Coldplay. So there are things that you need to do in order to make your songs sync friendly.
I would also like to add that it has to be record quality. I mean, people are doing record quality music in their bedrooms. So if something is not mastered in record quality, forget it. I mean, no one's going to give it the attention that it needs. So, I mean, get your music mastered. Hire someone that does it professionally. You know, spend the money to do it. Record it well. I mean, this is an investment in yourself, in your career, in your business. You can't just, like, show up willy-nilly and then try to, half master it yourself and expect to make money. It doesn't work that way. You know, you definitely have to invest in your career. If you want to go down this path, you are recording, you're spending the time, the money, whether it's you're producing yourself or you're working with someone else. You know, like myself, I produce new artists. I'll work with an artist on, a collection of music and then help them write it specifically for film and TV, and then we'll shop it to sync agencies. It's got to be top-notch, or else it's just not even going to be accepted.
Yeah, I want to add to that, too, that I think the core with the song needs to be good, right? Yep. At the core of it. It needs to be recorded good. It needs to, convey what it is. Sure. I don't always think mastering is that high up on the chain of it, because in most times they'll sync it and they'll put it in the bed under some vocals or some background. So they'll like with my Breaking Bad placement, the scene is the son is in his room listening on his headphones, right? So they kind of put a filter on the track to make it sound like he's in his room listening on the headphones, right? But my track wasn't like that when I sent to them. So you always got to keep that in mind too, not to put too much on the track that they'll have to take it off when it's time to put it in the scene. But make sure the songs are really good quality, recorded well, they really get your point across of what the song is, and make sure you're approaching supervisors who have done projects that your music fits, right? If somebody does a lot of hip-hop shows, don't send them a bunch of singer-songwriter type of things, right? Really research. And I would say one thing to do with that is watch TV shows, and at the end, they tell you who the supervisor is. Reach out to that person on Twitter or whatever, on X, and say, hey, I like what you did here. I would like to, send you some stuff. I'm a producer, and maybe get that moving forward in conversation. That's what's happened with me with Westworld when I did the Westworld thing.
You can also look them up on IMDb. There's all kinds of other internet resources. You can find out who's in charge of music for the shows that you love or the shows that you think your music would be good for, and that's a great way to do it. Before I forget, I want to say one more thing about pricing. It's another fine detail, but you can expect that pricing varies depending on the type of usage and on the geographic exposure. So if you sync something for a local car spot for Jim Bob's Ford or whatever, you're going to get paid X. But if that's a regional spot that airs throughout Central Texas, well, that's a bigger paycheck. If it airs in a 5-state area, that's yet another bigger paycheck. So those are an important thing to keep in mind is what is the exposure going to be? Because even if it's a film, is it going to have international exposure and distribution? The price goes up for that. There's a price, each little tier costs more.
Yeah, also, let me real quick on that, is sometimes if I get a placement or a brief for something that they want music to, and they say, our budget is XYZ.
Does everyone know what a music supervisor's title and job is to do, by the way? Does anyone know what a music supervisor actually does?
You can tell us.
Go ahead, Laura.
They can do a variety of things as well. They can source music that's already pre-recorded. They can work with composers to create music, to create score for the film, or anything, really. And then hire musicians as well to go into studio to create music. So.
Yeah, replace tracks that you can't get cleared. Maybe sometimes the track's too expensive.
Re-record something
Right.
as well too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if the track is too expensive, then
Bass
they'll
player died.
yeah, they'll look for an artist who's faster to get it to them, or who's more affordable. You know, tell you my Breaking Bad story is when I was approached with Breaking Bad, they wanted to use CeeLo originally. He was charging $1 million to be used in that thing. So of course they weren't going to do that. So they were looking for other artists. They found my track. They had already synced it to the picture, right? Because they assumed that I would accept the dollar amount, the all-in deal, for what they were offering, and I turned that down and wanted the back-end deal, the publishing and everything else. And I was more in a controlling position because they already assumed that I would just take what they were offering. So you really got to know your worth and know what, you know, think like everything you do is going to be a success and just not accept what they're offering to you at the current moment. And like they say, you know, some placements can be $500, some can be $100,000. It's all negotiable. Sync is probably the last place I think where you can really talk about real dollar figures and play around with it a little bit.
Well, it's the last place that's fair because the songwriter and publisher generally make the same amount as the sound recording owner. Whereas on Spotify, writers, and on YouTube, and everywhere, writers get fucked. They make about 1/11 of what the sound recording owner makes from Spotify. And it sucks. And everyone's talking about, oh, we got a 15% bump. It's still not fair. And let me also say, this man is a unicorn. There are so few artists who can do the business side, and I would not recommend any of you pursuing music supervisors yourself, unless you've got a really great business mind. It's a very hard job. The people that represent my music domestically probably have 15 salespeople on their staff who talk and are friends with these music supervisors and creative execs. Not that it can't be done, it's just not the most direct path. But this man, he's a unicorn.
Thank you, Ted.
So then, do you have any insight for the independent artists and what route they should go? Should they sign with a publisher? Or should they do it all themselves and submit their stuff to production libraries and hope they get accepted?
I think it just depends on where you're at. What advice would you give?
You know, I think it depends on if you're an artist or if you're a composer. I think that if you're an artist and you want to put out records and you want to maintain 100% of what you own, of the song, then I would either pursue a music supervisor and create a great relationship over time. It's not going to be done in a heartbeat. Or I would look at pitching to sync agencies who then can take your songs and, depending on the deals there, I mean, once it's out of your hands, if it goes to a music supervisor, most music supervisors are not going, they're going to pay you for the music and they're not going to take any percentage of the sync or the sound recording side. If it's a sync agency, then the sync agency has to make money somewhere. So they're typically going to take at least 50% of the placement, but you'll be able to keep the publishing and the writing. If you go with a production music library company, then they're automatically going to take they're going to take the publishing side, 100% of the publishing side, and leave you most typically with the writers. There are production music library companies that are starting to kind of weasel their way into taking some of the writers, but I think you'd want to stay away from those.
Yeah, that's cancerous.
That's a red flag.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a red flag. So you want to stay away from that.
Yeah, and you also want to stay away with anyone that says, oh, we'll retitle this song for our library and we'll be non-exclusive on it.
Yeah.
And you can shop it then to all these
Tell
other
them what
companies.
retitling is. Explain that a little
Yeah.
bit.
So let's say your song is called Jane, which, by the way, would be the worst title for a sync song.
Did you say Jane or Jade?
I said Jane.
Okay, Jane.
And they,
Here we
and
go.
a company comes along and says, "Oh, we'll represent your music non-exclusively, but we're going to call it June, and we're going to own your sound recording, we're going to own your publishing, and then you can do whatever you want and shop this song to a bunch of different libraries. Well,
Yeah.
there's nothing unique about having your song in a bunch of different libraries. I would never represent a song that other people represent. The music I choose is highly curated. Our reputation is based on the quality and the artists that we represent. So I would never touch something that was not exclusive to us. Now we're unique. We are a record label. We are a publisher. We have artists with tens of millions, hundreds of millions of streams on Spotify. We work with authentic artists, and we support them. These days, I'm finding artists that I love and pairing them with producers who work well in the sync space. There, again, like I told you, there are boxes that need to be checked off about the lyric, about the theme. Yes?
Can you say specifically what those boxes are other than removing the vocals?
Yeah, that's just on the sound recording side. General themes. I don't want anything too specific. Hold on. Every week.
Are you gonna
No
you're gonna
specific
you're gonna pull out
names.
our,
No,
our,
every
our
week-
email chain?
No, not ours, but every week I get emails from my partner's company.
Briefs.
Do your writer splits add up to 100?
Right.
Don't make me do math. Like if they
This is
don't,
very
I'm
true.
not
Yeah.
gonna mess with your track.
Oh gosh, yeah, we should talk about that.
We should
Everyone
talk
who is
about that.
interested in getting in sync absolutely has to be affiliated with a performing rights organization.
Yes.
BMI has an office in town. So,
Anybody know Mitch Ballard
I was
over
like,
at BMI?
Hey, Mitch.
yeah, I
Mitch
mean,
is great.
Mitch is the
Mitch.
greatest guy in the world. And
Yeah.
BMI cares enough to have an office here. So I'm
Yeah.
telling
Yeah.
people, go with BMI,
Right.
but you need to be affiliated with a performing rights organization.
But like with briefs, it's kind of like what Ted is kind of going to get to. With some of the briefs, every morning I receive around 10 briefs. And some of them are hip hop related, some of them are electronic related, some of them are singer-songwriter created. And sometimes if I can't do a particular piece of music, I might reach out to another local artist to help me do that. And then we work out a deal on how to get that pushed through, synced, or at least get the right ears on it. So that's kind of like what ticking the boxes for me is what they send to you. And sometimes they'll send you and say, we want a song that sounds like this, and they'll send you a YouTube video or a link to kind of guide you down that path so you're not swerving that far off.
Yeah, but themes, female empowerment is always a popular theme. Togetherness is a popular theme. The shorter the length of your title, I think, the better. Really repetitive hooks.
Platonic love.
Yes, platonic love,
Not love.
not romantic love.
Yeah, not romantic love.
how about-
Party music.
platonic love.
How about a clean version?
We always have to have a clean lyric version of the songs. In fact, one of my hip hop artists that we've released let's say 24 songs, there's not a swear word on any of these 24 songs. Now, he makes records for himself. It's a very different story. But for sync, we always need clean. Great point. But, set it off, ready to go. Let's do this. Let's get this. New day, brand new day, everything, sunny day.
Anthemic, like I get that
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah,
it has to be
anthemic
an
is
anthem, for,
always-
I mean, think of like
soccer games,
we
FC.
Will Rock You.
Yeah.
We Are the
F1.
Champions. These are
Vocalese.
classic.
Lots of vocalese.
Yeah, which is non-lyric vocals. The
You know,
oohs
like-
and ahs.
Yep. Na 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 na.
Chants.
na. That kind of stuff.
Yep, that's money
Yeah.
for sync.
One of my biggest tracks is that.
Oh yeah, I'm
Yep.
sure.
And it's been, I wrote it in 2008, and every single quarter it's licensed.
Yep,
Every single quarter.
I love that.
yep.
I
Mine
love that.
too.
And it's really important. Generally, I find that the ones that get the most action are up tempo and feel good,
Yes.
or the stomp clap swagger
Yes.
rock thing. Still, I mean, we got to be in like year 6 or 7 of that. It's got to
Yeah.
die.
Yeah.
You know, everything goes in cycles, and that's the stomp clap stuff is still.
You know,
Still
I
killing it.
want to touch on the upbeat because a lot of singer-songwriters just want to write these introspective, really down-tempo songs. No. They don't get licensed.
Not for
Rarely.
our world.
No. So,
Ballads.
I mean, you've got to pull out of that, I'm hurt box and, and put on your happy face and do some stomping on the floor and
You're
let's
happy
pick up the
sometime.
tempo. I mean, we're talking, let's get it over 120, folks.
Sure. And oh yeah, I mean, there's a guy I consider a friend who said you've got to push the tempo until the whole thing just falls apart.
Yeah.
And right before that is where you go. And he is a wildly successful sync-driven writer.
Yeah.
Wildly successful. You know, Kardashians are his neighbor, that kind of successful.
Nice.
Yeah. Now, this is,
Calabasas.
yeah, Hidden Hills.
Hidden Hills, yeah.
Yeah.
We're both from LA.
Yeah, originally.
Originally.
Been here 10 years.
Yeah.
Love it. Raising my kids here.
When I met Ted, I said, hey, another 818 in the 512.
Yeah.
Because we both have 818 area codes.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, look,
Inside
sync,
joke.
sync
They're
is a
also
very
proud.
specific area. Yeah, you know.
All 818 people are so proud.
Yeah.
I'm from Austin.
Yeah.
I'm from Austin. So it can be
Good for
done
you.
without going to LA or wherever. You can do it right here.
Look,
I got to put that in a hometown.
I proved that I could leave LA and still have a successful career.
Yeah.
But, I've always loved this city. It is a music-driven city. But y'all definitely need to know more about the business because this is a business.
So for the people that do have music, though, where have you found your most success? Where did you get your most work from? Having your music in libraries or where?
Where have I had my biggest success? Well, my business biggest success was starting this company 25 years ago and aligning with Position Music out of LA, which has just grown into a powerhouse.
Mm-hmm.
They were a sync powerhouse, and now they've got huge hits. They got one of Benson Boone's writers in their family. So many big things that I don't even pay attention to. I'm not on that side. I worked for major labels. I don't want to chase that dragon. My biggest successes are probably licensing artist material to everything, commercials, promos. Every TV show has a trailer now. Video game promos. It took me a really long time to learn that the biggest money in sync is not in show or in game. It is advertising that show or what's aired between the shows, what's in the commercials. That's where the biggest money is. So I am overtly, when I'm looking for music, I'm looking for stuff that can kill in ads, movie trailers, video game trailers. That's what I want because that's how I can make you the most money. There are so many singer-songwriters that I love in this town. It's like, man, I love you. I will come see you, but I cannot add any value to your career other than give you general business advice that I learned through what I do with some of my artists who do have a reaction based on a sync. I will also say that 99.99% of the placements our artists get do not bring them any more followers on Spotify.
Nope. Nope. Back to the promos, not to interrupt you, but we basically owned, my partner and I, who's in LA still, we basically owned the Two Broke Girls promos for about 5 years. And wrote all that music. And it was all rocking. I mean, it was all up-tempo, distorted guitars, rocking, no vocals. Just fun, exciting, enticing, makes you want to get up and move, makes you want to go watch the show kind of music.
Yeah, so that singer-songwriter you're talking about that you really like that we have, she also did a rock thing.
Did she?
Yeah, and she too was
Killing
killing it on Two Broke Girls.
Yep.
for forever. And
That was a great show.
yeah, and they
Moneymaker.
they spent a lot of money promoting it, and you
Yeah.
know, when these cues are aired over and over and over again for season after season in promos, it's a nice check.
Yeah. And I mean, I'll say also in support of what Ted was saying, I mean, if you get something licensed in show, it's going to happen once and it's gone. If you can do an ad or a promo, that sucker just plays and plays and plays and plays. So, you know, if you have 30 seconds and you're in a promo and that gets played, I don't know, 10, 20 times in a week, that's a lot more money than just, you know, one 30-second clip in, you know, XYZ show.
Can you guys highlight the difference between an ad and a promo?
Sure. Go ahead.
An advertisement is for Toyota. A promo is something that airs on a streaming service that is promoting, or network, they still exist,
Yeah.
sort of, that advertises their shows. And if you still pay for a commercial or pay not to, or pay to watch, if you still watch commercials, you will see that not a commercial break goes by where that network is not promoting one of their own shows.
Does that all make sense to everyone?
Yeah. Now, obviously, advertisement of a brand, you know, like you said, Joe Bob's Ford, you know, streaming is, actually, I don't know. With this streaming advertising service, I got to talk to my sales folks to see if it's
blurring.
if it's national, regional. Do they get? I mean, they're smart enough that they can
detect it.
set it up that way. But I don't, you know, I don't want commercials on my personal streaming.
Do you get briefs for when you have to create commercials? Are you getting briefs from someone?
Do I, or
Anyone that works in advertising?
Yeah, they get
Whereas-
multiple. I mean, I don't personally because I'm not on the sales side. I'm purely on the creative. I make the music with the artist, and then I hand it over to position, and they do all the rest. But they are constantly talking to ad agencies. They are constantly talking to the promotion departments at all the networks and the streamers. For a place like CBS, for the most part, we'll have a tier of artists where the fee is already set, so they don't have to come to us and ask. They can just plug it in and then tell us, was it 1 week, was it 2 weeks, was it 3 weeks, was it one spot, 2 spots? But there are all of these salespeople at the sync-driven companies, whether it's a publisher, a rep agency that just represents your music, or sometimes there's just song pluggers that have relationships in TV and film, and they just plug it to their people. Yeah, but they are constantly in contact, daily, hourly, on
Yeah.
chats.
maybe we could illuminate how big this world is. You got to realize, like, every major record company has a major publishing arm.
Right.
Every publishing arm has a sync licensing and or production music arm. So there are, you know, 5 or 6 massive companies that do this, like APM, there's Warner Chappell Production Music, there's Universal Production Music. BMG has a production music arm. APM is the largest. They literally own 1 million copyrights. That's what you're up against.
And they've been around for a long time. When looking to, if you are interested in becoming a composer for a library, look around, look at all of them. See what you do better than what they have in their catalog. That's the way to get in the door there. So I checked out your library. Is anyone here interested in being a composer for libraries? Okay, good, because I didn't want to waste time if not. Yeah, see what you do better. I stopped working on the production music side with my partner. I stopped about 10 years ago because people were coming to us wanting half the royalties if we used it in their shows. They wanted us to retitle the songs. They wanted ownership of it, and they wanted to pay us $0. So I stopped doing that, but there still are composers that do that for position. I found it unsexy and boring, and it made me sad. So what I've always loved is working with artists. Y'all are crazy, but you just say things in a way that no one says it. I love working with artists. I love helping them steer towards our very narrow niche of the music business. And it is a niche. We fill just such a narrow gap, but we do it really, really well. Yeah?
Speaking of unsexy and boring, when I finished a record analog, and my producer, I told him that I need stuff without vocals.
Instrumentals.
Probably I'm not the only artist here that has recorded all in one room, um, with multiple instruments in one room because it tends to create a really tight groove. So then removing the vocal can be difficult for stuff like that. I'm wondering if any of the artists on stage have recorded in that style and what they did to remove. My producer said that he basically used Noises, which is an AI app, to remove the vocals, but it kind of sounds shitty. And I'm wondering, like I put that up on disco, but I'm wondering if that hurts my cause more than helps having this like kind of crappily removed vocal version as opposed to like, and he said, oh, if you get a sync, I'll do it better, but it would just take me a long time. And then I'm like, well, then I would lose the sync because it would take you so long to, so I don't know.
Yeah, I would just say look forward, not backwards. The technology is getting better. There was a track from a band from San Antonio from 2008. They broke up a long time ago. They couldn't find it, and my partner's company called me urgently looking for the instrumental. So I stripped it with one of those software programs and sent it to them. They're like, okay, great, thank you. I'm like, holy shit, that worked.
Yeah, I can add to that too. There's a program called Lala. I don't know if it's lala.com or lala.io or something like
I think
that.
that's the one.
Yeah.
I think we use that.
Yeah, and it's Lala. It's a great program. When they reached out to me about being in something that Fortnite is doing now coming up, and they wanted a track that I recorded probably back in like 2008, and I don't have the files. I don't have that computer no more. I don't have anything. So I dumped it into Lala, took out the vocals, and it was very clean strip. Like if you can hear it crappy, then we can hear it crappy too, right? So it took out the vocals very clean. I was able to submit that within 30 minutes. The vocal sheet, I had to retype the vocals because I haven't done anything with this song in years, and I got that placement.
That's great.
So I just want to repeat what Ted said earlier. I think it was Ted, is that when you're working with producer or you're recording your own music and you're finished with the track, make sure that you run an instrumental version. Make sure you run stems at the time that you're doing everything. When you're running the mix and the master for the main track with vocals, also do it without the vocals, and then run the stems. Do it all, save your files, and then you won't have to be faced with this predicament.
Yeah,
all right?
It's terrible
2025.
spot to be. Yeah. You need, for this world, I think you should always have the instrumental for yourselves anyways. But for sync, it's a delivery requirement now that we get stems, which wasn't that way 5 years ago.
No.
I love those calls we get from a company that wants stems from a production music track from 2006.
Right.
It's like,
Exactly.
Or 1970.
Oh, sure.
Do
Well,
you have a
8
vintage
PM goes
track with
way
stems?
down.
Right.
Yeah.
Let me get that
Yeah.
reel to reel out real quick.
I mean,
Yeah.
I can tell you that on my ASCAP statements, I will see multiple versions of one track, and it'll just say like no horns. So it'll be the name of the track, or no guitars, or no, or say no vocals, or it'll say no bass. I mean, it happens. So if you can run the stems and you can provide them, then whoever the editor is, if they find that there's something in the arrangement that is conflicting with the text that's happening on screen or whatever it is that they're trying to accomplish, they can just remove it. And then your track is still used. And it's not like you get paid less money. So make sure you give options to the editors when it comes to that.
There is one strategy, and it's probably not going to work, but if you insist on tracking live in a room, then you maybe want to set up an extra mic or tape it to the one you're using and catch an acapella so that later on you could maybe do a phase flip and cancel it out. That would get you somewhere.
No,
I mean, if you think about it in the production
sure.
process.
But I will say that if
Plan
you
for
are
it.
doing a live album, you're probably not for sync unless it's a bar scene. It's not your thing. I mean, you know, there are. Look, here's a secret. It's not a secret. Fitz and the Tantrums. Fitz was a sync writer.
Was he?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
yeah. He writes with sync. I mean, come on, hand clap.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
a great songwriter. A great sync song is also a great song.
Yeah.
Yep.
Safe and Sound, Capital Cities, those guys were jingle writers, sync writers. Ex-Ambassadors, the song Renegade, no matter what story you hear, they fucking wrote that for Jeep. And it was a huge commercial,
Wow.
and they made
didn't
a
know
ton
that.
of money, and
Yeah.
they write for sync. There are lots of bands out there that write with sync in mind. They also just happen to be
Yeah.
amazing songwriters. Ex-Ambassadors, I don't know if Jungle does it, but they sure get synced a lot.
Yeah.
You know, I was talking to Patrick and Lauren about this earlier, is that I've been here for 5 years. I lived in LA for 25. And I'd really like to do, you know, like a single masterclass, a couple hours, you know, where I can teach everything that I've learned about working with briefs, tempos, feelings, content, you know, the lyrical themes, everything. So I have a notebook. If anyone's interested, I'll, you know, leave it out, and you can put your name and email, and then maybe through Patrick and ATX, we could put something together, and, you know.
That's a gift.
Yeah.
Writing workshop.
Yeah. And I want to add to that. One of the most valuable things you can do to get into this field is really network with people. Friends help friends. I've had more sync placement from people that were really my friends than just doing business with, right? So go out and meet people. I got my first, you know, I met my first sync person at South by Southwest. I went to a sampling panel that was talking about clearing samples, and everybody was at the day party getting drunk, hot dogs. It was in a big convention ballroom. It was maybe 15 of us in there. We sat around a table. We all, you know, shot the shit, and I was able to get my first sync placement from that person within a week, signing with them and then getting a placement that quick. So meet people, go out there, be your authentic self. Don't go out there and say, I'm the best songwriter. I have a song that's perfect for, because it usually never is, right?
We have about 5 more minutes left, so if we want to go into questions, if you had any last minute. We'll go with this guy. Yep.
But yeah, like, you know, you've all heard it said, it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Right, and also don't sample if you want to be in sync. Don't do that. You have to
I learned
own
that.
100% of your composition and own 100% of your sound recording. And if you're sampling somebody, you don't own it. It's a disaster.
Yeah.
Amen. Yeah, so I've got a unique music project, and I'm just wondering where it might fit into sync licensing. I'm a drummer, and I have a YouTube show called the 3-Hour Song Challenge. We challenge a new artist every show to write and record a song from scratch in 3 hours. Sounds like a couple of you have already heard about it. We've had great artists on from Austin scene like Jordan Matthew Young, S.L. Hauser, Nolan Potter, Billy King, the Bad Bad Bad. And the songs are turning out great. I mean, my sound engineer is, you know, top class. They're fully mixed and mastered. We got all the stems and all of that. And I was just wondering, just based on the idea, do you see a potential for us to get into sync licensing with what we're doing?
I don't know, but let's talk after. I will listen to everything. I mean, I will listen to anything. That's what I do. That's what my job
Are
is.
you making
to listen to
original
music.
songs?
Sorry, what was
Are
that?
these original songs you're
These
making?
are all original songs. We're actually going to be like gearing the channel a little bit towards, so we'll play the artist a cover song, and they have to write and record a song from scratch inspired by that song in 3 hours kind of thing. So the songs are great. I mean, obviously I'm biased because I wrote them, but like I think they're pretty sick. And we've only been doing like 4 episodes so far. And
You write all the songs?
Yeah, I mean, I'm the drummer, so it's like, you let the drummer write a song, right? But like, I'm a compositional musician, and we write it together, me, the sound engineer, and the artist on the show. We're releasing an episode every single week right now, and actually, shameless plug right here. We're doing an event here on the 6th of July to showcase. What's that? Oh, is it? Yeah. What's up, brother? Good.
Yeah.
Are you the sound engineer? Oh, fuck yeah.
I mean,
let's
I
go.
mean, it's a great.
Yeah. And
It's a great idea, and it's a
yeah.
great idea. Having worked with songwriters for a very long time,
Yeah.
sometimes I used to give them fake deadlines so they would just finish a song
Oh, dude.
really quickly.
Give
3
someone with
hours, I give them a
skills.
weekend,
Yeah.
but 3 hours is great. I love the pressure cooker situation because it's what's flowing through you. So is that going to work for sync? I don't know, man. Depends on the
Also-
lyric content, depends on how the recording sounds.
Also hear a lot of potential with contractual agreements on who wrote the song, who's playing on the song.
We're doing all of that.
The origins
we're
of
getting
the
everything
song.
in
Yeah,
writing.
do that first.
Yeah, we were doing that
Before you
Yeah.
involve
And
us.
getting
in
it into BMI and all of that. I'm kind of new to the music business. I've been in the marketing world myself, so learning all of this.
Much
Yeah.
safer, much safer business.
Yeah, I know. I actually. Yeah.
Don't leave your day job.
What's
Don't leave your day job.
Well, I kind of did, honestly. That's a whole other story. So yeah.
You might not want to register the works right away because if you
Okay.
place them with a company, the company may prefer to do the registrations. So just definitely get the contracts in place for sure.
Okay. Yeah, I would love to talk to someone who knows about that stuff that can help me not be an idiot. With
Do we have
whatever I'm
attorneys
doing.
next? Oh, it's going to be so great. It's like we know who you can
Just
ask.
hang around.
Jake, you can ask Jake that question when he's up.
Sorry, one more time.
You can ask Jake.
Attorneys are coming.
Yeah,
Attorneys.
And you can ask Jake right there that question when he's up here.
Yeah, I definitely have questions for attorneys, but we'll save that for
Question
later.
right
Yeah.
Good one right there. The
Okay.
casino, or which one of y'all? Whichever.
Just quick, viability of reimagined cover songs. Are those still happening?
This is very in the weeds in the business, but yes, there is a trend, and a very good trend, very successful trend of taking a cover version and creating a version that completely flips from happy to sad. It's the places I've seen it most successful are in movie trailers, but that's because that's what I focus on. Yes, so doing a cover version of a song, Lord, Hunger Games, did Everybody Wants to Rule the World, Tears for Fears,
Yeah.
flipped it. It was great. They used it for the whole promo campaign. That is popular, and I think for artists, it's actually a really good idea for you to find a cover that you can flip and then post to YouTube. There are ways to clear it and post to other streaming services. You can grow your audience by being really clever with a cover version of a song and get more followers. Your job as an artist is to get more followers. A lot of people take the cover route, and if you're doing it just like the album version, you're wasting your own time. You're wasting everybody's time.
Yeah.
If you flip it, I just start searching in covers on YouTube. Just type in a song that you love and type cover. You will go down a deep rabbit hole, but it's really fun.
I think we should mention, though, that if you do a cover song, you will not be able to collect the writers or the publishing royalties. Yeah, so just keep that in mind.
Right.
And publishers do commission cover songs because you got to realize publishers get in a position where they may own the rights, but they don't own the master. So they need a master that they can exploit. In that case, it can be lucrative.
Or they just want options for their clients
Right.
of their
Or that,
evergreen
yeah.
songs.
Yeah.
Right.
We talk to publishers all the time. By we, I mean my partners, because I don't talk to anybody except artists. They get approached all the time, and we ask them, like, hey, can you give us a list of the songs that are clearable that you would like covers on? Because we don't want ones with estates that always say no. So they provide, Universal, all the majors provide our partners with a list of songs that they want covers on that will be clearable for whatever.
Right. Casino.
Hey, how's everybody doing?
No, that
I
sometimes.
was just asking if it's public domain clearing you're talking about? Or
Yeah. No, public domain. I mean,
Theirs.
that's a rabbit hole I don't want to go down into because other countries have different laws about that. So when someone says public domain, I always get nervous. I don't want to mess with it. But it's that that the songwriters are saying, yeah, because sometimes in contracts, many times the songwriters get say on a license. When a brand requests it, they get say. So we want to know the ones that are like,
Good to go.
yeah, let's go do this, and not the ones that are like, oh, that family's a little unreliable, unpredictable. You can do it, but it might be messy. So we try to stay away from those. And I know, are we out of time?
No, let's get casino right there. Let's get one more question right there. You've been having
Hey,
this hand
how's
up for a
everybody
while.
doing?
I have
My
to
name's
pee.
Casino. I represent a company called Raw with the Daw. We're a local production company. My big question that I had for you guys is, we've mostly done a lot of, I guess, quote unquote, ghostwriting, where we've just sold tracks and productions and writings just right up front, just to get maybe a bigger payoff up front. But then, of course, you don't get more of the back end. We're looking to kind of move over into the lane of doing more sync deals and things of that nature. We run across a lot of people wanting to charge us up front in order to get access. What are some best ways to bypass that?
You just got to ban anyone that charges you up front. You just need to run as fast as you can in the other direction. That is a non-starter. Music has value. They need to be paying you. You don't pay them. That's bullshit. It infuriates me that there are companies that still try to do
Yeah.
this.
Church.
Partnering with a publisher is a different thing. If it's a partnership and they're going to earn you money, then they get a cut of that money, just like a manager gets a cut for the money they earn you. But
They're
people,
also pushing you into playlists and things
Yes.
of that nature as well too. They're doing back end stuff on their end too. But
Yeah,
Okay.
and I'm
the pay to play thing,
yeah,
it's a red flag.
and I'm still. I don't think there are a lot of companies out there that can get you on playlists that truly add value to your career. That's not how we do our marketing spend. There are some folks that are really tapped into getting you on playlists that can move the ball, but none of y'all have access to them. I'm just going to be honest.
not necessarily playlists though, but also like music supervisors or companies that have that they're sourcing that and they're getting monthly emails from as well too.
Yeah, let me add this too. That, we're talking a lot of high-level stuff. There's also mid-level syncs and bottom-level syncs. There's a lot of places for you to fit in. So in Austin, we have a lot of people shooting films, right? So you can go to somebody who's shooting a film and say, let me give you some music as a placeholder while they shop the film to film festivals and whatever. And then when those films get placed, they get picked up by Lionsgate. I've done a few of these deals. When they get picked up, and then your money kicks in. Then your deal kicks in. So there's many ways for you to get involved in this game without saying, I want a $200,000 whatever. You can do a freebie for somebody, have an agreement, of course, contractually, that when that film gets picked up by whomever, then your money kicks in. It's like a little step deal. There's various steps that they have to take for you to get in there. And if you get involved, if somebody approaches you about a film, I do this as well. If they say, hey, T, we want to put your music in a film, and they're offering me X amount of dollars, I'll say, well, who's starring in that film? Because that gives me an idea of your budget. What company is filming it, right? These are little questions that give you a good idea of how much their budget is. So the music has to be high if they have a Robert De Niro scene, right? So it kind of gives you an idea of how to play that game a little bit. But there's many levels to get into it besides the high-end thing that a lot of us do.
Well, that's smart because then they get demo love. They fall in love with your music, and then they never want to remove it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because if they do remove it, then they have to find another piece of music that's at the exact same beat per minute. And then even still it's...
But that's why if you own all your stuff, it's good to have all that information
Yeah, like I
inputted
do.
so that they can contact you
Yeah.
to
Like
Yes.
I do. Like
License that.
my Breaking Bad placement was in 2010. The song they picked, I wrote in 2004. It just got published in check for that again, like a few weeks ago when BMI released the thing. So your old music is still valuable. It still has legs in it, right? So
And there,
catalogs matter.
read about metadata. We're not going to get into it now because we got to go, but read about metadata that you have to put into your sound file if you're going to send it to anybody. Because if your phone number and contact info ain't in there,
Oops.
How
Yeah.
they're going to call you.
yeah, yeah.
If you need a little hand holding or something, like a course or a book, or pay one of y'all or something like that. Like someone like me who's like, oh my God, because I know it's easy to get blacklisted.
So,
Chat GPT. I'm not kidding.
or Grok.
Yeah, yeah.
Grok is very
There's so
valuable.
much information available to you out there, and you can ask the stupidest questions at ChatGPT,
So-
and it course corrects
Yeah.
you.
So one of the questions that I was hoping someone would ask is the question you just asked. So Guild Music of Supervisors, they're in LA. They hold a yearly conference. That's one option. Number two is, I don't think Morgan McKnight's here. I was hoping she was going to be here, but
PMA.
she runs a Production Music Association called PMA. They also have a conference every year called PMC, which is
It's
Production
a
Music
very good
Conference.
place to
And that's in
mingle
LA.
with
Then there's
supervisors.
also Music Expo or Muse Expo.
Muse Expo.
Yeah, and then there's also Sync Summit. So like in regards to metadata, Mark at Sync Summit is very forthcoming with information on metadata. So he talks about it like, I don't know, every month maybe? I mean, it's like his pet peeve is metadata. So go to his website, go check it out, maybe tap into one of his old Zooms or something, or,
Yeah, that was Sync Summit.
yeah, Sync Summit.
And Guild of Music Supervisors and Muse, M-U-S-E, Expo, E-X-P-O. That's driven more towards the artists.
Yeah.
And PMC is, if you're serious about being a production music composer, you got to get your butt to LA for that conference.
For sure.
Also,
Sure.
there's another group called What Up Pitches, and they have, if
I
you
love
sign up
that.
for them,
Yeah.
they
You haven't
send
heard of
out,
them?
or they do like
Yeah.
monthly listening options, so where you have a chance to submit your music, and a music supervisor will sit with you
Right.
and listen to the music, tell you what you need to work on or whatnot.
That's always helpful.
I would say I got a lot of people mad at me about a year ago when I said on LinkedIn that the best way to make money in sync right now is to sell these how to get into sync courses.
It's
So-
true. It's true.
I would say
Yeah,
do a
it's
little
true.
homework. Be careful. There are some great ones. There are prominent music supervisors like Jennifer Piken that offers a training course.
Right.
But then there are also some kind of shadier ones that will take your money and so be careful.
Yeah,
Shop
and
around.
as an independent artist, one thing I like with Sync and the people I deal with is I'm able to actually call them and have a conversation with them and like, how are you doing? How's the weather? What's going on with my music? When you sign up with Taxi or whomever, there's 30,000 writers. Who's going to call you and tell you what your song is doing or tell you where it's being placed? Now, I'm able to say, no, I don't want my song in that. Yes, I want my song in that. No, I want this, I want that. And I'm able to talk to them directly and know the direction of the brand, of the music, and keep it in line with who I am as a person as well.
Unicorn.
Because what if you want that carve out for politics, and you don't want your stuff being used for political stuff you don't agree
Exactly.
with?
Well, that's easy. We don't do politics. We don't do adult entertainment. We stay away from that stuff. They come.
It's probably for the best.
Guys, thank you so much.
Yeah,
Once
yeah.
again, Brian Kelly, Ted Lowe, Tierney Johnson, Jason Rudd, and Lauren Kubala. Let's give them a big hand. Now,
Sweet.
before we move on, I want to ask a question because obviously we ran out of time here, but I think we could have been on this subject for quite a while longer.
Oh, yeah.
But Brian brought it
Yeah,
up,
yeah.
but how many of us would be interested in like a longer style workshop sync panel later this year? Yeah?
Cool.
You guys up for something like that?
I mean, I would be happy to do it.
Awesome.
Well,
awesome.
I think you should take him up on his offer individually
Absolutely.
for the people that want to compose and are composers. I think that should be its own thing.
Brilliant. I love
I
it.
mean, the sync, we could talk the
The
boring
business.
part about the business forever.
Yeah, but the art.
But the creation, that should be its own thing, and that's really generous of you to do it.
That's great.
Yeah.
I will squeeze in a shameless plug, is that 2 years ago I started holding a monthly networking meeting for people involved in sync licensing. And then for several months now, we've merged with the Austin, Texas musicians meetings. So every
First
every
Tuesday, we'll be here. Yeah, we'll be in this
I'm
room
here.
again.
Last time there were probably 15 people from my group that came. Morgan McKnight, the executive director from the Production Music Association, was here. So there is a brain trust here in Austin, and we're trying to grow it. So help us do so.
Thank you guys so much. This is amazing, truly.
If anyone
Thanks
has
again.
any recommendations on punk, send them my way.
And I want to remind everyone, we are doing a happy hour mixer after the legal panel. So if you guys stick around and you guys want to interact and ask more questions, these guys will probably still be around, I guess, for a little bit. Okay, yeah, awesome.
And I brought a notebook with a pen, so
nice.
I guess I'll just set it over here and everybody can fill it out.
Yeah, that's cool. That's perfect. Again, thank you. Big round of applause. Thank you, guys. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, brother. This is great. Great. Thank you. Oh, love you. Love you so much. All right. Next panel